If liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. When I wrote these words, it was not as an ornament to liberty, but as its foundation. Not a flourish, but a firewall. I had seen firsthand how regimes, left and right, smothered truth beneath comfort, nationalism, and collective delusion. I write now from the ashes of experience, the trenches of war, the bureaucracies of empire, the manipulations of press rooms, and the blood-stained pages of history. Truth, I learned, is rarely silenced with a shout. More often, it is smothered with politeness, wrapped in euphemism, or buried beneath 100 trivial distractions. In my time, fascism had a uniform and communism had a hammer and sickle. But the danger was not only in uniforms or flags, it was in the common man's refusal to hear what disturbed him. A society conditioned to comfort cannot tolerate dissent, not because it is wrong, but because it is inconvenient. Liberty does not protect the agreeable. It is not a reward for popular opinion. It is the defense of the dissenter, the iconoclast, the one who says what others dare not admit. That's why my works, particularly 1984 and Animal Farm, struck chords and nerves, not because they comforted, but because they exposed. And to this day, I regret how prescient they have become. You ask how my words apply now? Look around you. Platforms claim to be neutral, but their algorithms steer minds like sheepdogs. Governments preach freedom while drafting censorship laws behind closed doors. Ideological tribes attack not arguments but people. What once required fire and chains now requires only community guidelines and shame. We are no longer dragged to dungeons for our speech. We are buried under mobs, deplatformed by code and silenced by social self-censorship. What matters most today is not whether you're allowed to speak, but whether anyone can afford to listen. And here's the dangerous paradox. The modern world is drowning in speech, but starved of liberty. Because liberty, as I meant it, is not simply the freedom to speak. It is the courage to endure speech that offends, disturbs, or contradicts us. Without that, we are not free men. We are curated consumers of consensus. Truth does not always arrive in friendly packaging. It is often abrasive, rude, or alarmingly unfamiliar. And if you only defend liberty for opinions you like, you do not understand liberty at all. Today's youth live inside echo chambers, mistaking algorithms for enlightenment. They mistake popularity for credibility. They mistake offense for harm. And I ask, what happens to a civilization that forgets how to be uncomfortable? Advice for your century? Defend speech, especially when it grates. That is the test of your liberty. Demand transparency from those who police it, be platforms, politicians, or mobs. Resist the temptation to silence others just because you now have the means. And remember, censorship that begins with your enemy will end with you. You must protect the voices you despise, or soon you will have no voices left. Democracy dies not with a bang, but with a polite nod, when everyone agrees too easily and no one dares to offend. So if you hear something you don't like, good. It means liberty is still breathing. But when the day comes that no one offends, not because they are civil, but because they are afraid, you will know the liberty you inherited is gone. I leave you with this, not as a lament, but as a warning. The future of freedom depends not on how loudly you cheer for it, but how stubbornly you defend the right of others to say what you most hate to hear. That is the price of liberty. Pay it or lose it. George Orwell, channeled for today's world.